I've been watching a lot more Justin Fields, and he scares me. But physically, I think physically he reminds me of like Steve McNair, which is great. I mean, Steve McNair was a heck of a quarterback.
I really like Justin Fields. I don't like Ohio State's offense.
Yeah, well, that's the same though, because he's unprepared and it's Ohio State's freaking fault.
So I don't think he's unprepared actually. Like I think that he has a game that translates, but I think that Ohio State's offense didn't do a lot for him in terms of helping him. Like I think the misnomer is that he played in this offense like in Alabama where Sarkisian is just dicing people up with scheme. Ohio State wasn't really out scheming anybody on offense. And I don't know. I just really like Justin Fields. I love his toughness. I love his arm. I love his running ability. I love his poise. I love his confidence. I like the way he carries himself. There's just something about him that I like. And I think the big draw for me with Justin Fields, and I think this is one of the harder things to do in the NFL, and the reason you like guys like Justin Fields and Zach Wilson is that they're proven accurate throwers intermediate and down the field. And that's something that translates, in my opinion, to the NFL if you can do stuff for them in terms of processing, which I expect Kyle Shanahan will, and open up those throws. Because if there's a 20-yard out there to be hit, Justin Fields isn't going to miss it. He's very accurate at throwing a 20-yard out. He's very accurate at throwing a 40-yard go ball. He's very accurate at throwing a 50-yard post. And these are things where somebody like Trey Lance scares me because he's not proven, even though he's really accurate at throwing slants and quicker passes and throwing it out to the flat, all things the Niners do with Jimmy Garoppolo. He hasn't proven that he's very accurate throwing 10 to 15 yards and 15 plus yards down the field. He's got a couple great throws, but he's also got misses that nobody puts on Twitter so people don't see them, you know? So I just think with Justin Fields, the down the field accuracy to me, like this is excellent. He has a really strong arm, but he controls where he's going with the ball, which is really important in the NFL.
Okay, now can I tell you why he concerns me, and you can talk me out of my concerns. But I'm seriously concerned. I'm watching against Indiana and Northwestern. I feel like I'm not saying he's a one-read quarterback because he's not, because you see him all the time go through his progressions. He often has time and space at Ohio State, just like Mac Jones does, just like Trevor Lawrence does. He has a lot of time and space. And what I see from him, and I know it's documented, there's reasons, but it's not just when he's looking at choice routes and stuff like I see a lot of the time. He called his internal clock, his processing speed, whatever it is. It just takes him a while to get from A to B to C. And a guy like Mac Jones, who has no physical gifts. He's not an athlete. He's just seems to know where the open guy is most of the time and gets it to him on time. And that's his gift or his skill. So I don't see that with Justin Fields.
So this brings us to Greg Cosell's point, right? Greg Cosell's criticism, I call it a criticism in quotes, because it was that things need to be clear and defined for Justin Fields. Because I think a lot of the reason that it's a little slow is because things aren't really clear in the Ohio State offense on where he's supposed to go with the ball. It's not fully defined based on coverage where he's supposed to go with the ball. Well, Croc said it to me the best. I was talking to Croc last week and he said, they pay Kyle Shanahan $10 million for a reason. He can make an offense that's clear and defined. And I feel like if you make it clear and defined, I don't think there's any questions about how smart he is, because clearly he's smart. And I think that he's got a very strong arm and he's accurate.
Yeah, but it's not really about smarts. It's about, because playing quarterback, it's not about, it's not trigonometry. It's not conceptual. It's memorization, recall, and reactions. And it's almost like I was talking to a coach about it. He calls it mental quick twitch. Like, think of it as a physical gift, like physical quick twitch. How quickly does your brain go to the right spot? You may know it, but on the field, how quickly do you get there? And I just feel like that is the thing with Mac Jones. He's got the mental quick twitch. Does Justin Fields have it? One more thing. Jimmy doesn't have it. And I think that's one of his biggest issues with Jimmy is that while the offense works, the plays work, he's not getting to the right spots quickly enough or often enough. And that's his issue. And in 4 years with Kyle, I don't think Jimmy's improved in that area. So if he can't improve it he can do a lot, and they do pay him a lot. But if he can't do that for Jimmy, can he do it for Justin Fields?
Yeah, so I think that first of all, I think Justin Fields, I think one of the things I actually like about Justin Fields is that with Jimmy, I think part of the problem is not just the slower process and all of that, is he makes stupid decisions. Like coverage tells him, like it's clear and defined for Jimmy. Coverage tells him you go with the ball here, and why are you throwing the ball there? the RPO says you read this guy, and if this guy goes here, you throw the ball to the bubble, Jimmy. Then why are you handing the ball off? So there's questions like that with Jimmy. With Justin Fields, you can see like when it opens up, he has the right place. He knows where to go with the ball. And then the other thing is like in terms of throwing the ball, like Justin Fields is a much, 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 much higher level intermediate and downfield thrower than Jimmy. So that makes a gigantic difference.
Justin Fields, I compared him physically to Steve McNair, who was a hell of a freaking quarterback.
Yeah, right.
He's not quite Josh Allen, but he's a hell of a. I mean, there's a reason that he's been like at the top of everyone's rankings since he was like 14 years old. It's a serious athlete here. All I'm saying, and it's not his fault. I don't know. I see what I watch on tape. I'm like, man, are you just a slow processor like Jimmy? Or is Ohio State's offense freaking terrible? But then again, if it is, it could be a combo. It could be all Ohio State. But no matter what the answer is, all I know is Ohio State didn't prepare him for what he's going to see, and there could be a little bit of a.
So I mean, I know that your big thing between these two guys when comparing is that one had more starts in college, which I understand. I'm going to give you that point, but I think these were some of the questions with Justin Herbert. And it got proven through this year that it was really the problem was Oregon's offense.
True.
I feel similarly with Justin Fields that the problem is Ohio State's offense. Now, I'm not going to tell you that.
That's interesting. Hey, no, because hold on. The problem is Ohio State. We know that Ohio State's offense is a problem. It has never prepared a quarterback for the NFL. All of a sudden, they get this all-world talent who's more athletic than any guy they've had in the last ever. And they do their thing where it's like, well, this is a rinky-dink scheme, and we have no real answers for blitzes or anything.
Right.
It's Chip Kelly stuff.
Right. Yeah. I think that's another thing. Like Justin Fields, when people say, well, he didn't see the blitz or he didn't see the blitz, well, the pass protection in this type of offense has been a problem for years. I mean, Kingsbury, whose offensive line sets are somewhat similar to what Chip Kelly had. I mean, his pass protection scheme, the 49ers exposed it when they beat them with Robert Saleh. They kept mugging the front. They would force the protection to slide, and they would slide the wrong way, and they would blitz from the other side. It was really simple, and they kept doing it. And so I think that gets exposed a lot. I don't know. I just really like Justin Fields. I like everything he brings. I like how tough he is. I think that he's going to be very good. And I think that if he comes to the 49ers, he's going to be a star.
Yeah. The processing thing scares me. And I just don't know how to figure out the answer because, of course, Ohio State is culpable and they're part of it. If he comes to the Niners, is he all of a sudden going to have a great feel for where to go with the ball in Kyle Shanahan's offense? He might, but there's actually no way to know. And that'll be a mystery.
So I got something for you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of processing, let's go 2018, 2019, 2020 drafts. Okay. In terms of processing in the 2018 draft, who would you say were the 2 or 3 best guys?
Well, I think most people would have. Let me just say
that Josh Rosen and Lamar as the 3 best.
Hold on. I'm just going to say that I now have the coaches tape. I wasn't scouting with coaches tape back in the day. This is a new thing that you can get on the black market of the interwebs.
Okay, when did you start in 2019?
No, I didn't watch coaches tape of Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield. Now I actually get this go see who's open and who's not on any given.
Okay, because I was going to point out that look, with Kyler Murray, processing was a little bit of a question, but he played in a great offense with Cliff Kingsbury. And we're talking about a physically ridiculous talent. With Justin Herbert,
Kyler Murray does it. He passes up open receivers all the time. You can see it in the coaches. Kyler Murray does it.
His height is a problem too, where you don't know if he can actually make that throw with 3 people around him because he is 5'10".
Yes.
But you know how I feel about Kyler Murray.
Yes.
I'm a big Kyler Murray fan.
He's the most athletic quarterback in the league. His height doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but that doesn't change how quick and strong-armed he is. It doesn't change that.
So I guess that point doesn't really hold ground, I guess, because you weren't watching. But my point is that I think physical talent is the bigger requisite in today's league. And I think because they spread the game out and the game is really clear and defined for quarterbacks and a lot of concepts are translatable from college, it makes the game mentally a lot easier on them. And Justin Fields isn't one of these athletes at quarterback where he can't throw really well. Like, he's a very, very accurate.
He's a trained quarterback.
Right. He plays
all I'm saying is
I like
think
that.
About processing as a physical tool. Think about it as a physical gift, like quick twitch running, quick twitch processing. Some guys have it, some guys don't. I don't know about Justin Fields because it's the Ohio State thing. And one other thing, like what I noticed about Northwestern, the problem with Ohio State is it's a very imposing rushing attack. It's all about their running game, always has been. And so these Big Ten defenses are like, well, what are we going to do? We're going to play 8 in the box to stop this run game and play vanilla. How many coverages can you play with 8 in the box? A few. And they're all kind of vanilla. And then these quarterbacks, they get in this up-tempo thing. They got 8 in the box, and they shred that stuff all the time. What Northwestern did was basically play, no, we're going to play too high. Justin Fields is your guy. We're going to let you run. And they gave up like 400 rushing yards to Trey Sermon, all these guys, and Justin Fields struggled. So it's a tough projection.
So I went through the Northwestern game yesterday very late, just in preparation, because I figured somebody was going to ask about Justin Fields, just because that's a conversation you've had with just about every guest. I think he's
a fascinating case study.
So because of that, I went through the Northwestern game, and from what I know, I mean, I have to go back in and play by play, watch a coaching clinic, try and understand what's going on, because I'm no expert. But from what I could understand was, to me, it didn't look like they had a lot of plays set up to beat split safety coverage and quarters coverage. And I think it was a lot of a product of what you said. You said Justin Fields hasn't seen it. I think the Ohio State coaching staff was not prepared for a team to play split safety coverage against them like that, and they didn't have a game plan.
They don't see it
in for
again.
It.
It's all about, they get see 8 in the box all the time, cover 3, that kind of stuff. And you just shred it, vanilla cover 3 stuff all the time.
I think from a mental standpoint, if you're asking, like, then I think that brings to question, because I think this guy Taylor Bean, I think he said that he's played for Steve Sarkisian. I read the comment above, and he brought up a good question. He said Sark's offense is great. It's so QB friendly, but who's had success from his offense in the NFL? Sanchez, Jake Locker, Tua, and now Mac Jones. But then you look at guys like Justin Herbert, who played in terrible offenses. Look at him come up and shine. Josh Allen played in a bad offense. And then you look at a guy like Joe Burrow, maybe that's where you can see the mental twitch and everything, where you can be sure about it, because he's just sitting there and you can see that he's dictating everything pre-snap.
Shanahan talks about it. Where he's like, he's very decisive. He knows to go with the football. That's something he's looking for. He calls it different stuff. Joe Burrow has a good sense of where to go with the ball. He just does. Mac Jones just does. To me, Justin Fields, he may not. I'm not going to say he just doesn't. All I know is there's a lot of examples of him holding it a little longer, not seeing guys who are open, don't know what the progression is. So I don't know if he's supposed to see these guys. And it's like, okay, even if I do take a little bit too long, me scrambling is a really good option. A lot of times that's a 30-yard run. So, I mean, I guess it's the same thing with a lot of mobile quarterbacks. If you can run, you're going to want to hold on to the ball a little bit. Why would you want to throw it so quick? I can run.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
I mean, Big Face Kev is just going off on me in the comments. He's saying Joe Burrow won 4 games. Well, how many did you expect him to win with the team around him?
Joe Burrow's number, I was looking at his advanced stats. I mean,
he was leading the league in passing yards pass attempts before he got hurt.
His average throw depth was 81 down the yards down the field. His catchable throw percentage was 77%. He looked like he was he got broke because they didn't have an offensive line. It's a team sport, but it seemed like he was doing his job pretty well. But I didn't watch.
No, he was playing phenomenal. I think the only knock on, I think Joe Burrow, everything that Grant you asked for, Joe Burrow had, and I think that if he has a lower tier arm, if he had even an upper, like a mid tier arm, like a Ryan Tannehill type arm, I think he would have been one of the great quarterback prospects that we've had, because he was so good, so clean, so perfect his senior year at LSU. Like, you couldn't really point anything wrong with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I watch a guy like Sam Darnold, and you're like, well, why is it not working for Sam Darnold? Is it Adam Gase's fault? I watch Sam Darnold tape, and I see him miss a lot of open, not see lots of open receivers. And it's like, I guess that's Adam Gase's fault, because that's your guy. You've got to coach him. But technically his plays seem to be working, and Sam Darnold just doesn't execute well.
So he's a problem, right? Because ultimately, if your plays are working and your quarterback's not executing them, well, what are you going to do for your quarterback to execute them? Do something for him and all of that. And Sam Darnold's played with bad offensive lines, all of that. So there's a lot to it. But yeah, I don't want to get into Sam Darnold. I think I've documented my thoughts on Sam Darnold many a time.